Our journeys with PANDAS started in 2007 when my youngest child became ill with strep infection, as did a few other children at the school they attended.
I had periorbital strep, so that was strep in the eye. That was a very bad case of it, and actually that was misdiagnosed at first. It was missed.
Within months of that, she started developing we called them, for lack of a better word, vocal seizures at the time, but vocal tics, very loud vocal tics, and behaviors where over a 6-month period she lost normal functioning. Her handwriting changed. She could no longer participate in a swim team, and she could no longer be in school.
It was rough. It was rough. And you know, it was frustrating that I couldn't do the things that I loved to do, which was, as a child, I loved sports. I loved swim team. I had to pull out of that for health reasons. I couldn't go to camp. I couldn't go to school and be with friends because I didn't have any at the time. But yeah, and then being sick, being in another hospital, it was also very scary. Because I would have amnesic episodes.
Several visits to our local children's hospital ER resulted in many consults to psychiatry, but not to neurology, unfortunately. Where our local pediatric team really went off the rails, I would say, was in thinking that this was somehow that my children were losing function as a result of child abuse. And their first red flag to them was my using a homeopathic remedy to help abort the symptoms. And they thought I was actually giving them a poison to create the symptoms, to get attention. So the process was not smooth by any stretch. And in fact, our local children's hospital took myself and my husband to court. Yeah, for child protection services.
Do you remember this at all?
Vividly.
Yeah, can you maybe talk about your experience with this?
Okay, go ahead.
It kind of, it led to our father's suicide. So when I was being integrated back into school, I still wasn't fully healthy, I suppose. So I did encounter a lot of bullying in elementary school.
It was only years later that we actually realized we had a diagnosis of PANDAS when we saw a pediatrician outside of the local children's hospital. And we had been successfully treating her with pulses of, her doctors had been successfully treating her with pulses of antibiotics and prednisone when need be. And it would restore her to her reasonable level of functioning at that point. We ticked along for several years with just, again, daily supplements, medications that controlled mood stability, seizure activity, explosive behaviors were all controlled with various different low-dose medications. And then relapses were maybe once or twice a year, needing amoxiclavulan and or prednisone.
With all the protocols we had in place, I was able to be successful in things such as sports and social, because I did end up going to, it was about grade 9, we moved, and I started a new school. I was doing a lot of sports. I was into the sport of triathlon, and all of our protocols were in place, so I was stable and healthy for a very long period of time. Yes. And I ended up competing in, you know, the junior national series and being successful in triathlon, yeah.
all these PANDAS children, okay, they've had a tremendous adversity and they've have to pick up the pieces and get their lives in order and move forward, knowing that it could happen again. And there's a strength in Sandra that I see that is so inspiring, because she does pick up the pieces. And she's trying to create a life for herself, and I see her becoming a beautiful, independent young woman who has this condition and has to roll with when it happens, for things that are beyond her control, but she picks up the pieces and is stronger for it every time. And to me, that's really inspiring. Thank you.